Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another of these brand new Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur Series releases to take a look at. As you can see, we've got not only another 1/18th scale release, but we've got another of the larger Tyrannosaur figures that are in this wave. The last few we reviewed were a bit on the smaller side. We have the Bistahieversor, and this one looks super cool. I really quite like the paint scheme and paint job of this one. Definitely did a great job of choosing the colors to give it that reddish tone there, but the darker black tone of the body. It does look really quite cool. You can see the packaging is pretty much the standard when it comes to these figures. You've got the nice window area as well as some gorgeous artwork over here to the side of our Bistahieversor. And then if we turn the box, you can see again the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo here on the side. Pretty much the same thing when you look at it up here on the top. And then, as always, on the back, you can see a nice image of the figure, a checklist for Wave 2, as well as information on the species and everything like that. So, let's pop the box open and check it out. So, just like always, one of the first things that you'll pull out are the assembly instructions, and this will help you when it comes to figuring out how to put the legs on, switch the legs out, switch the feet out, put the tail on, all of that fun stuff. So, definitely important to take a look at that if you are new to these figures. Of course, we also have the classic card. We've got a super cool image there on the front of the card. Nice little fight scene occurring. Very, very high quality card and artwork as you usually get. And then here on the back, you've got a little dino toy photography, the species name, information about the species, the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo, the Creative Beast Studio website address down there at the bottom. And then, of course, the art is by Raul Ramos. So, super cool card as we usually get incredible cards with any Beasts of the Mesozoic release. On top of that, you've also got the alternate legs. These are the more articulated legs. You have kind of like less articulated, more stable legs, and then you also have these legs which sport more articulation, which helps you when it comes to creating different displays and, dioramas and poses for your dinosaur. And something else that will help with that are the separate feet that you have here, the alternate feet. And you can see you have like a closed toe option, sort of an open toe option. And there's also bends in the feet to kind of give them different positions so that you can create the perfect diorama no matter what way you want to go with your diorama, what pose you'd like to choose. They've got you covered when it comes to these figures because, again, you have the ability to switch out the legs as well as, again, the feet. On top of that, we've also got the base. The base looks very nice, as it usually does. Nice little earthy area, almost like your standard base when it comes to these figures. And the absolutely incredible Bistahieversor, and look at that. That is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know that I was fully prepared for how nice this figure was going to look in person because it is absolutely awesome. Super cool sculpt as always, but the paint apps on this one really are quite striking. Definitely make this one stand out in comparison to some of the others. I can say that this is for sure one of my favorite paint apps on any of these Tyrannosaur series releases so far. I just really like the, really quite bright reddish tones that we have here, kind of like mixing with reds and oranges, and then the darker tone of the body and the way it plays off of each other definitely creates one striking image for this figure. But as always, I'm quite excited to take a closer look at this phenomenal new Tyrannosaur series release, so let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at it right now. So starting here at the head sculpt of our Bistahieversor, you can see again loaded with really nice looking scale detail, really nice looking skin texture, quite a bit of variation to the scale detail, but the general appearance seems to be kind of smaller, a little bit finer scale detail throughout. They have given it these nice light grays, and within the light grays you can see a nice dark washes present, so that highlights the scale detail quite nicely. But you've also got this gorgeous red, and the red kind of mixes with orangish tones, which you can kind of see creeping up here and there, giving it a little bit of extra color variation, but also I think just adding a nice element of flashiness to those areas. And then you've got the black coloration here, which is pretty abundant through the course of this figure, and that as as well. Looks really nice. And again, the way that these colors play off of each other here in the face is quite brilliant. You can also see that we've got some grayish tones up here with a nice dark wash to highlight those areas. Looks really nice. And then these gorgeous baby blue eyes right here, you can see those are really nicely done. They definitely pop when it comes to the dark coloration of the eye socket. They really do stand out quite nicely. Of course, you've got a very nice articulated jaw, and even the coloration of the inside of the mouth, I think, pops even more so with the coloration of the face there kind of playing off of it. But you have some really nice purplish tones for the inside of the mouth. You've got the teeth sculpted out there, all sculpted individually, all painted individually. You can see the tongue in there, which the tongue appears to sport a little articulation itself. And then you've got the teeth on the inside of the mouth on the upper side, again, all sculpted very nicely, all perfectly and precisely painted. You can see zero sloppiness there for the inside of the mouth. Very nice, highly detailed appearance, and a nice satin shine there, nice gloss coat for the inside of the mouth, making it shine as it should. I don't know how good you can actually see it on camera, but with the dark black tones that we have here, we actually have dark brown tones within that. It's very hard to pick up on, but there is actually a little color variation in that area, though. As you see the darker tones, again, you do see some variations of darker browns picking up. You can see the ear as we move back here. You can also see, again, more nice looking scale detail, some more creases in the skin, quite a bit of wrinkling and stuff as you lead down here into the throat. You've also got your first area of neck articulation right there, which allows some nice posability, but then you get another area right here as you move down, which allows even more. And what I really like about these Tyrannosaurs, even though this is a little bit of a bigger species of Tyrannosaur, especially in comparison to quite a few that we've taken a look at lately, we still have really smooth neck articulation, and I feel like the neck articulation of these newer wave Tyrannosaurs is definitely smoother than what we had seen on the earlier wave, the first wave of the Tyrannosaur series. But as you move down the neck, you can see that that reddish tone here runs down, stripes down, but it stops. You've got another little spot of it right there, and then again this light gray here on the underside of the throat. You do actually have a little bit of variation of color within that area as well. As you continue to move a little bit further down, you can see the shoulder blade right there. Absolutely beautiful arm sculpt as you move down. You have a little bit of that red and orange kind of leading down into the arm, but disappearing. And then we have basically the darker tones, the black and brown for the arm moving down. Nice finger sculpts. And again, the nails are painted with a very nice glossy black, which also looks really good. You can see the light coloration runs down the underside of the arm down into the palm of the hand. And then as we take a look at the articulation, you've of course got the shoulder articulation. It can move out away from the body, forward and back, quite a bit of movement there. You've got the elbow as well as the wrist, and it's all super nice, very smooth, and pretty much poses exactly wherever and however you want it. As you move a little bit further up into the body, you can see again more of that reddish tone, that mixture of a red and orange here overtaking a portion of the stomach. You've got a few spots leading up, as well as the black kind of creeping down. It looks really nice. You've got all kinds of skin wrinkles and skin folds here running along the course of the stomach, kind of like a dark dry brushing over here, highlighting some of that scale detail in that area. And then as you lead back up, you can see the hip bone up here. You've got the spinal column running along the upper part of the dinosaur. You have yet another area of articulation right here in the midsection, which I feel like that articulation moves a little bit nicer, a little bit smoother than it does on some of the smaller figures. But as you lead back, you can again make out the hip bone. You can also see some very nice muscle definition in the thigh moving down. You've got more of that kind of reddish and orangish tone there moving along the back of the thigh, as well as the black sort of creeping in and striping through in that one area. And then as you move down, some more skin wrinkles and creases as you reach into the knee. The knee itself is present, as well as a nice big bulging calf muscle. The red tapers off and disappears as you lead down through the course of the leg down into the foot. You do have a brown dry brushing running down the front of the shin of the scoots there of the shin, and then running down into the foot, and you can see the scoots on the foot also sport that variation of a brown, as well as a very nice glossy black again for the nails. And the nails look very realistic, if you ask me, as far as the sculpt goes, like it has that genuine, almost sharp look to them. And then of course you've got dew claws as well. And as you move back up, you've got some more skin wrinkles here leading up from the back of the thigh, leading out into the tail. Again, more of that red-orange coloration, as well as the black kind of leaking down and stuff. As you lead out the length of the tail, the coloration starts to disappear as far as the orange goes. You can see it's kind of disappearing here, and then we have basically just a black tip for the tail. Articulation-wise, we've also got the hip articulation, of course, which can go forward and back pretty far. And then you've got the knee articulation. And then you have the opposite legs that you can use, which actually sport two more areas of articulation, one somewhere in this area, and then you've got a little area of articulation for the foot, which I will show you here in a little bit. And then you've also got some more joints of articulation here in the tail as you lead out. You've got another one right here, again, can move it all around, and then another one right here, but this last little section is also a wire, so you can move it again even more. The sculpt and detail of the underside is just as highly detailed as you see on the upper side. Very nicely done, very impressively done here as you move through, and also some nice color variation. If you get nice and close, you can see again the grayish tones, but there's also kind of like a lighter sort of creamy color in there as well, just adding a little bit of extra color variation. It almost looks like we even have a little bit of purplish coloration down there on the underside as well. But when taking a look at the opposing side of the figure, you're really not going to see much difference over here compared to what we had seen on the initial side. Everything looks pretty precise, pretty much the same. Of course, being an articulated figure, you really wouldn't see anything different over here because it's up to you to kind of articulate it and bend it into whatever position you want to display it. But that means it's absolutely gorgeous on both sides. And then you've also got the base, and the base has a nice earthy area, nice rocky area with a little vegetation here in between, almost like your classic base from the Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur series at this point. We usually have similar bases to this pretty consistently, and you've also got this little extra section here which you can actually remove if you choose to. But of course you also have the peg again to apply your Bistahieversor to, so that you can display it on the base. But it looks really nice, definitely a very nice sculpt, very nice paint job as always. As far as whether or not our Bistahieversor can stand freely without the base, I'd imagine it should stand very nicely, and there you go. They normally do stand really nicely, especially when it comes to these less articulated legs. Definitely helps them to stand really quite nicely. As far as the size goes, from the snout to the tail, about 16.5 inches or around 42 centimeters. And then for a height, in the position that it's in currently, about 6.25 inches or 16 centimeters. Of course, you can alter the height and everything, as well as the length by articulating the figure and moving it around. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Bistahieversor. And you can see it does have a pretty darn good size to it, pretty sizable, right there in what I would think is like the mid-level range for these Tyrannosaur series releases. We've also got the Bistahieversor here next to the Guanlong for another comparison, showing you there is a pretty good size difference between the really small Tyrannosaur series figures and these. They're like the second to largest, I would say, as far as these size range Tyrannosaurs go. Then we've got a size comparison here with the Teratophonius next to the Bistahieversor, again showing you the Teratophonius is a bit smaller. And then when it comes to a very similarly sized Tyrannosaur series release, we have the Dryptosaurus here next to the Bistahieversor for one final comparison to help give you again an idea of the size. And then the opposing leg here that you can use again for your figure if you want to switch the legs out. This one has a little bit more articulation, as I stated earlier. You can articulate it right here as well as down here, just to again give you a little extra articulation. And basically all you would do is pop this leg out, pop this leg in, and then you've got a much more articulated leg to go with your figure. So this brand new Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur Series 1/18 scale Bistahieversor is absolutely gorgeous. I would definitely say this is one of my favorite figures so far from the line, not only because it is a Bistahieversor. We don't have that many figures of that species. We've got a few, but nothing I would say even remotely as nice as this. But you can see again on top of that, it's got one of the flashiest and coolest looking paint schemes that I've seen on these, but at the same time naturalistic. I don't know what it is about the use of the red and orange in comparison to the black and the dark brown, but I absolutely adore it. I think it looks so good on this figure and is easily one of my favorite paint schemes to end up on any of these Tyrannosaur figures so far. Just a massive, massive fan of this coloration and the actual application of the paint. But on top of that, the sculpt is gorgeous. It definitely creates one of the nicest looking Bistahieversor figures that has ever existed. Definitely one of the most accurate as well, again sporting all the incredible fine detail that you would like to see. And of course lips, which is something that is quite abundant through the Tyrannosaur series, something that I'm sure people are a massive fan of. But we also have have lots and lots and lots of articulation, as you always do, giving you pretty much endless possibilities as far as display options and creating nice poses for your figure. And you've got a nice base on top of everything to, again, give you that final display for your Bistahieversor. So if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can pick this up on the Creative Beast Studio website. So make sure you check that link, grab this as soon as you can so you can add it to your collection, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.